Look at that fat head. Today we're talking about Alolan Persian. This cat here is a pure dark type. It's one of the original regional variants here that we got back in Sun and Moon, where Persian got a brand new face as well. Well, actually got a brand new head because that thing is the size of a watermelon, but that's okay. Persian, regardless of whether it's Cantonian or Alolan, is still classy here. Alolan Persian here is a pure dark type, so we are immune to Psychic, we resist Dark and Ghost, and then we have 3 weaknesses to Fairy, Fighting, and Bug. It's one of the few things that gets access to the Fur Coat ability, which doubles its defense. It gets access to Technician, which increases moves with a base power of 60 or lower by 50%, and then it gets rattled as its hidden ability. So if this thing gets intimidated or hit by a dark, bug, or ghost type attack, it gets a +1 speed. Now that speed boost is rather nice from rattled here because Alolan Persian does have a base 115 speed stat, which means it's rather quick. And on top of that, Alolan Persian is going to be a more supportive role as opposed to a damaging role, meaning the faster it goes, the better it can do for spreading status conditions or just overall disrupting your opponent. As far as our stat breakdown goes, we have 65 HP, 60 attack, 60 defense, but if you're running Fur Coat, that's effectively doubled. If you have, or not if you have straight up 75 base special attack, 65 base special defense, and as I mentioned, 115 speed. You can do a couple of different item options here with Persian. You can go for a Covert Cloak to protect it from Fake Out. You can go for a Citrus Berry to get HP back. Fur Coat here is a really good ability to help keep your longevity around, so the Citrus Berry could be rather decent. If you're not running Fur Coat and you're running either Technician or Rattled, you're probably going to want to run a Focus Sash on it. What I was thinking here for a supportive Persian, the very first 2 breakdowns here is all support options that Persian gets. So we have Fake Out here, so basically we can do a little bit of damage to our opponent, make them flinch, so long as they're not holding a Covert Cloak. This could be rather great for Persian's partner if it wants to set up Tailwind. Maybe you're scared of your opponent trying to fake out a Trick Room setter or a Tailwind setter. Persian just can go ahead of them, most likely because it's one of the fastest fake out users in the game. We have access to Snarl, which is spread type or spread damage from the dark type right here that basically guarantees a special attack drop if it hits on the targets, which is rather nice because you can break a Focus Sash with that. We have Parting Shot, which basically Persian just yells and gives a piece of its mind to the opponent and then switches out while lowering their attack and special attack, which is a rather handy thing because then you can switch Persian out of a situation that it might not necessarily appreciate and bring in something that could be a little bit more hard hitting or something that would just overall appreciate the opponent having lowered offensive capabilities, like say maybe Landorus Therian or even regular Landorus. Enamorus could be a good Pokemon to switch into there too, because did just put out that video. Here's some shameless plugging right there. Then we have access to Thunder Wave, which we can use to spread paralysis amongst the opponent right there. Basically, electric types are the only thing that are just straight up immune to paralysis right there. So it's a great form of speed control because paralysis lowers the max speed of the target. I think it's down to something around the lines of a third. I don't know the exact breakdown, but it's nice because then on top of that, you have the chance of them just straight up missing their turn, which is a really handy status condition that you can inflict upon them. And then as far as some other options go, you have access to Chilling Water, which is a brand new move from Generation 9, which is a guaranteed attack drop right there. You have Icy Wind if you want to use some spread type, ice type damage right there to lower the speed as opposed to, say, Thunder Wave, because, it is nice that you can potentially break a Focus Sash with this, like I mentioned with Snarl. You have Taunt, which can basically just shut down your opponent's status mons, which could be handy if you're running Covert Cloak on this and you're worried about your opponent setting up Trick Room. You could basically protect Persian from a Fake Out right there. You'll still take the damage, but you wouldn't get the flinch, and therefore you could just go for the taunt, which could be really great, especially like, say, for example, if your opponent's using like a Trick Room mon, like say Gothitelle or Armarouge, so long as it's not Hatterene, because Hatterene just can reflect that back with Magic Bounce. But I digress. You get that taunt off and you taunt them right there. That could be really nice, and that could be game breaking right there because a lot of Trick Room mons, if you deny them the Trick Room, you could just flip that matchup and just destroy them right then and there with Persian's partners. And then finally, we have Foul Play, which is a rather solid damage option for Alolan Persian because we just take that garbage 60 attack stat and throw it out the window and then just use our opponent's attack stat against them, which this could be really nice if you're going up against, say, something that's already set up with a sword stance and then just nail them with their own attack stat. That's nice. That's really nice right there. So what I was thinking with the EV breakdown for this is we invest in our HP bulk. We put a little bit of bulk into our defense because we're going to already have Fur Coat to help. Then from there, just as far as the regular breakdown goes, we just take an extra point into our special attack and our special defense right there. And then we invest in max speed to hit 183 with a timid nature, which that's a rather good speed stat to hit right there. And plus, if we have a Tailwind user of her own, we're going to be going stupidly fast, and that's really handy. Now, we could also go for some Mimi stuff here, because while Alolan Persian doesn't normally do a lot of damage, it does get Technician, and Rattled could be fun as well. So going into the next two ideas, and keep in mind, this is a use at your own risk, but I did see this back in Sword and Shield where Alolan Persian did have some fun with Skitter Smack shenanigans as well as Weakness Policy, because, you know, Weakness Policy was everywhere in Sword and Shield, but I thought it would be kind of funny to try to recreate that. So what we're going to do here is we can do a Technician set or a Rattled set. And what we're going to do is we're going to put Nasty Plot on there to double our special attack so that base 75 is not looking as bad. We go for the Nasty Plot. We hit +2. Suddenly we're not at 127 after the +2. We're now looking at 254, which that's a rather high number right there after one Nasty Plot boost. We can go with Snarl to take advantage of both Technician as well as our Dark type stab. If we wanted the Terra, because why not? Terra into the Dark type as well. And now we're going to get double our stab. We're going to get a 50% boost from Technician. And we're automatically getting a special attack drop. That can be funny. And then we have Chilling Water there because, you know, on the flip side, if we want to lower our opponent's attack stat, we have that with Chilling Water. Now, we could go Dark Pulse on this instead if we wanted to run Nasty Plot, but if we're running Technician, we might as well take advantage of the fact that it's Technician and just go for that 50% boost on the 60 or lower base power moves. So, on that note though, let's talk about the Rattled set. So, I want to make one thing clear. Persian gets rather good coverage as well because it does get access to Hyper Voice, which is solid normal type spread damage. It gets access to Power Gem, which is a great rock type damaging move. If you wanted to, you could use that instead of Thunderbolt or Dark Pulse, but I would highly recommend keeping Dark Pulse over Thunderbolt. But Protect is going to be needed for this. So once you've figured out what you want for your two damaging moves, in this case, we're going to go with Thunderbolt and Dark Pulse. We're going to have our Nasty Plot. We're going to go with Rattled. So, from there, we're going to get a +2 with our Nasty Plot into special attack. And then our partner, in this case, Weirdeer, or Stantler, because Eviolite Stantler could be a thing too. Weirdeer gets Skill Swap, so we can just take its ability and just give it to the opponent. We're going to force them to intimidate us if they don't have Intimidate as is. So we'll take Weirdeer, and here's your little bit of Hisui right here. We'll go for the Skill Swap away Intimidate, and thus we're going to activate Persian's Rattled right there. So now we're at +2 special attack, we're at +1 speed. Now we're going fast. Now we can hit relatively harder. And we can just go from there. We can go for the Dark Pulse. We can go for the Thunderbolt. As far as some other options go, like I mentioned, we do have the Hyper Voice. We have the Power Gem. We get Shadow Ball, which is rather nice because, you know, base 80 Ghost type damage. Not bad. On top of that, we have Terra Blast if we wanted to go for a different Terra type. Like maybe we wanted to go Terra Fairy to get some Fairy type coverage. We could do that. We have access to Hyper Beam if we just wanted to nuke something, because for the memes, we can go for a Hyper Beam. Quash is also something that I forgot about. So Alolan Persian, if you get some speed into it and you go for Quash, that basically forces the target to move last. So that could be a nice little surprise move to slow down on your opponent. Now, normally Quash is better with a Prankster on, but I wouldn't be surprised if Alolan Persian could make it work if you had speed on it. So just keep that in mind. As far as other moves go, though, as far as the coverage goes, that's probably it for non-technician boosting moves for the Rattled set. So really, Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, and Power Gem. Those are probably going to be the main four. You could make a case for Hyper Voice. But yeah, anyways, guys, between the support option and the potential special attack shenanigans with Rattled or Technician, that's my main thoughts on Alolan Persian. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of this classy cat.